Daf Yomi, Tractate Zevachim, page 102. 102a we'll start with. We'll see if we'll go all the way through. It might be just one side. But the Daf today is 102 of Zevachim, and just starting from the bottom of 101b for the context, the Gemara raises an objection to Rav's statement that when Miriam became a leper, see Numbers 12:10, who diagnosed and quarantined her. If you say that Moses quarantined her, that is difficult, as Moses was a non-priest. My first thought would be Aaron, right? Okay, maybe that's what we'll talk about. Okay, let's see. Now we're on the top of 102a, top of the page, with the words Ve'ein zar ro'eh et hanegaim. And a non-Kohen may not inspect the shades of leprous marks to diagnose them. That's what I thought. And if you're going to say that Aaron quarantined her, that is difficult, as Aaron was a relative, Miriam's brother. Aaron karovu, ve'ein karov ro'eh et hanegaim, ela kavod gadol chelek לבני מוסשה אני כהן ואני מסגירה ואני חולתה ואני פוטרה. Wow, this is interesting. Rather, okay, there's a law that a relative may not inspect leprous marks, so that a high priest cannot see it. Why not another priest? It just says HaKohen. I don't know why the Talmud didn't say maybe Elazar. Why not Elazar? It doesn't say the high priest has to do it. It says HaKohen, the Kohen. But the Gemara doesn't say that. The Gemara starts to speak on behalf of God, which is always a little bit shuddering to I'm shuddered to think about that. It's a little scary to speak on behalf of God, but watch this. Rather, the Holy One, blessed be He, bestowed a great honor on Miriam at that time and said, I myself am a priest. God said that He's a priest. How can God be a priest? Ani Kohen. I am a priest. But I will quarantine her for 7 days to see if the shades of leprous marks persist, as if God needs to see it, And I will declare her leper if she is impure, and I will exempt her if she is not impure. God's a priest? According to Zevachim 102, God is a priest. God said, I'm a priest. Maybe He is a priest, but not how you thought. Katani mihas Moshe zar, ve'ein zar ro'eh et hanegaim. In any event, the Midrash teaches Moses was a non-priest, and a non-priest may not inspect the shades of leprous marks, which contradicts the statement of Ra that Moses was a priest. Okay. I don't understand why the Talmud couldn't have said, why couldn't Elazar or any of the other, or the only priests in Aaron's family maybe, and their relatives. Was her relative would be, because it stops there. Maybe the Eitaka were the only priests then. It was only Aaron and his family, Aaron and his sons. That's why. That's I got my answer. The reason why I didn't say Elazar or Itamar, because they're also relatives. That's why. Like Gemara didn't waste any time saying why not them. They're relatives. In any event, the Midrash teaches. Okay. אמר רב נחמן בר יצחק, שני מרוז דגאים, יערון ורב כתובים בפרשה. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak said the halachot of the examination of shades of leprous marks are different because specifically Aaron and his sons and not Moses are written in the passage that discusses them. Then he shall be brought to Aaron the priest or unto one of his sons the priests. Leviticus 13 verse 2. Therefore, there is no proof from this brayta that Moses was not a priest. One of the sons or one of the priests. Okay, it says Aaron ubanav one of the sons of the priest. I don't quite understand why there's no proof, but okay. Meis ve'chamesh timachos ha'yisrael sheva yesera al benos Yisrael Yivam HaMelech ish HaKohen Gadol bana segan ben Meshuach milchama ve'achya nasi shevet ve'vel al shnei bneiha. The Gemara raises an objection to Rav's statement from Hebrata. Elisheva, the daughter of Aminadav, and the wife of Aaron, had 5 more reasons for joy than the other daughters of Israel on the day the tabernacle was dedicated. Her brother-in-law, Moses, was a king. Her husband, Aaron, was the high priest. Her son, Elazar, was the deputy high priest. Her son's son, Pinchas, was the priest anointed for war, who would lead the army out to battle. And her brother, Nachshon, son of Aminadav, was the prince of the tribe of Judah, who brought his offering on that day as the first of all the princes. But on that same day of joy, she was in mourning for her 2 sons, Nadav and Avihu, who died on that day. Katani mihas Yivam HaMelech Melech in Kohen Gadolo Ema af Melech. In any event, the bride teaches her brother-in-law Moses was a king. From this, one can infer that yes, he was a king, but he was not a high priest. Contrary to Rav's statement, the Gemara responds, say that the bride means Moses was a king as well, in addition to being a high priest. So when did it come to be that priests can only be priests and not kings? Was that not effective this time? According to this, it says Moses was a king and a high priest, like the Mashiach. Ketanai v'yicharav Hashem Moshe Rabbi Yehoshua ben Korcha Omer Korcha Lonaf Shebatorah Nemar Boroshem V'zeh lo Nemar Boroshem. The Gemara comments the question of whether Moses was a high priest is subject to a dispute among Tanaim, as is taught in a Braita. When Moses was at the burning bush and expressed hesitation to deliver God's message to Pharaoh, the verse states, "And the anger of the Lord burned against Moses, and he said, 'Is there not Aaron, your brother, the Levite? I know that he can speak well. And also, behold, he comes forth to meet you. And when he sees you, he will be glad in his heart.'" Exodus 4:14. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Korcha says, for every burning anger that is stated in the Torah, its effect is also stated, meaning the Torah records an action or pronouncement as a consequence of that anger. But in this case, no effect of the anger is stated. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai Omer Av ze nemar bo Shem shenemar lo Aron achicha Levi V'lo Kohen hu Hachita amar Ani amarti ata Kohen V'hu Levi Achshav hu Kohen V'ata Levi. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai says, even in this case, the anger's effect is stated as it is stated here, as is stated there. Is there not Aharon, your brother, the Levite? I know that he can speak well, but isn't Aaron a priest? Why is he referred to as a Levite? This is what God is saying to Moses. I initially said that you would be the priest, and he would be the Levite. Now, he will be the priest, and you will be the Levite. וחכמים אומרים, לא נתכהן משה אלא 7 ימי המילואים בלבד. ויש אומרים, לא פסקה כהונה אלא מזרעו של משה. שנאמר, משה איש האלוהים ובניו יקראו על שבט הלוי. ואומר משה ואהרון בכהניו ושמואל ומגרש עמו. And the rabbis say Moses became a priest for the 7 days of inauguration alone. And after that, his priesthood expired. And some say the priesthood expired only for the descendants of Moses, but Moses himself remained a priest, as it is stated. But as for Moses, the man of God, his sons are named among the tribe of Levi. 1 Chronicles 23:14. This verse indicates that it was his sons who were Levites, but he himself remained a priest. And so too, the verse states Moses and Aaron among his priests, and Samuel among them, that call upon his name, did call upon the Lord, and he answered them. Psalms 99:6. My ve'omer, my ve'omer, my ve'omer, my ve'omer, my ve'omer, my ve'omer. Chitim l'resul l'chsiv, omer Moshe v'Aaron b'chonav. The Gemara asks, what is meant by, and so too the verse states? Why did the Tana need to cite a second proof? The Gemara explains, and if you would say the first verse is written only for future generations, to include Moses' descendants in the tribe of Levi, but not to exclude him, then there is a second proof. And so too the verse states, Moses and Aaron among his priests. The statement of Rav that Moses was a high priest is in accordance with the opinion of his Braita. Okay. וכל חרוניו שבתורה נאמר בו רושם והכתיב ויצא משה מעם פרעה וכולי אף ולא אמר לה ולא מידי אמר איש לקיש שתראי ויוצא. The Gemara challenges the statement of Rabbi Yehoshua ben Korcha. And is it true that for every burning anger that is stated in the Torah, its effect is so stated, but isn't it written with regard to Moses, and he went out from Pharaoh in hot anger? Exodus 11:8. And Moses did not say anything to Pharaoh. Rish Lakish said Moses slapped him and left. Moses slapped him. Okay. Umi Amar Rish Lakish Haki. Gemara Shams. And does Rish Lakish actually say this? V'yaketiv v'nitzavta likrato al sfat ha'or ואמר ריש לקיש מלך הוא והסבר לו פנים. ורבי יוחנן אמר ראש הוא והעז פניך בו הפוך. The Gemara challenges, and does Rish Lakish actually say that Moses slapped him? But isn't it written, go into Pharaoh in the morning, lo, he goes out unto the water, and you shall stand by the river's brink to meet him. And the rod which was turned to a serpent shall you take in your hand, Exodus 7:15. And Rish Lakish says, God meant Pharaoh is a king, and so you should be amiable toward him. And Rabbi Yochanan says God meant Pharaoh was wicked, and so you should be insolent toward him. If according to Rish Lakish, Moses was commanded to greet Pharaoh with respect, how could he say that Moses slapped Pharaoh? The Gemara answers, reverse the names of the sages in the dispute, is Rish Lakish who says that Moses was commanded to be insolent. Okay. Amar Biyanai le'oy lamteim mas malchus alecho tichsiv v'yordu kol avadecha ele alai v'ihilu lididei lo kavalei. With regard to the respect accorded to a king, Rabbi Yanai says, fear of the kingship should always be upon you, even when the king does not deserve respect. As it is written that Moses said to Pharaoh, and all these your servants shall come down unto me and bow down unto me, saying, get you out, and all the people that follow you, and after that I will go out. Exodus 11:8. He mentioned Pharaoh's servants, but he did not say this of Pharaoh himself, even though this was the eventual outcome. Rather, he spoke to Pharaoh with the respect due to a king. Rabbi Yochanan amar Rabbi Yada Shema Yisrael Eliyahu Vayishanes matna v'yeres lifnei achav. Rabbi Yochanan says, derive the principle from here. And the hand of the Lord was on Elijah, and he girded up his loins and ran before Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel. 1 Kings 18:46. Elijah the prophet ran before the evil king Ahab out of respect. Amar Ula bikesh Moshe malchus v'lo halom tichsiv al tikrav halom ve'en halom el malchus shenemar mi anochi Hashem Elokim the Gomer ki heviotani al halom. The Gemara continues to discuss the roles of Moses. Ula says Moses requested that he be given the kingship, but it was not given to him. As is written, do not draw hither. Exodus 3:5, and the word hither refers to nothing other than kingship, as it is stated, then David the king went in and sat before the Lord, and he said, who am I, O Lord God, and what is my house that you have brought me here? Hither, it says here. 2 Samuel 7:18. Meisiv Rave Rabbi Shmuel Omer Yevav Melech Amar Rava Lo Ulezaro Ka'amar. Rav raises objection from the bride that cited earlier. Okay. Where were we? Okay, Meisiv Rave Rabbi Shmuel Omer Yevav Melech Amar Rava Lo Ulezaro Ka'amar. Rav raises an objection from the bride that cited earlier. Rabbi Ishmael says Elisheva's brother-in-law Moses was a king. This teaches that Moses was in fact granted kingship. Rava said Ula is saying that Moses did not receive kingship for himself, and for his descendants, meaning it was not bequeathed to his sons. V'chol heichad yichtiv halom l'doyresu. Al-gabe Shaul kitiv hava od halom ish hu in zaula. The Gemara counters, and is it so that anywhere that is written hither, the verse is referring to kingship for future generations as well? But isn't it written about the kingship of Saul? They asked of the Lord further, is there a man who comes there? Comes hither, it says. 1 Samuel 10:22, and Saul was indeed a king, but his descendants were not. So we see that halom is not always for kingship or for generations. The Gemara responds, if you wish, say, there was Ishbosheth, which is Saul's son, who was a king. See 2 Samuel 2:10, indicating that Saul's kingship did pass to his son, even for a short time. And if you wish, say instead, Saul is different because the kingship did not stand even for himself, and this is why it did not pass on to his descendants. Okay. כי דרבי אלעזר אמר רבי חנינא בשעה שפוסקים גידולה לידם פוסקים לא לזרוע עד הסוף כל הדורות שנאמר לא יגרע מצדיק עיניו ואת מלכים לכיסא ואם הגייס דעתו הקדוש ברוך הוא משפילו שנאמר ואם אסורים בזיקים ילכדון בחבלי עוני. The second response is in accordance with that which Rabbi Elazar says that Rabbi Chanina says. When greatness is apportioned to a person in heaven, it is apportioned to him and to his descendants until the end of all generations, as it is stated, he withdraws not his eyes from the righteous, but with kings upon the throne he sets them forever, and they are exalted. Job 36 verse 7. But if he then became arrogant, the Holy One, blessed be he, humiliates him, as it is stated in the next verse, and if they be bound in fetters and be held in cords of affliction. Job 36 verse 8. This was the case with Saul. Okay, the Mishnah teaches blemished priests, whether they are temporarily blemished or permanently blemished, receive a share and partake of offerings, but do not sacrifice them. The Gemara explains, from where are these matters derived? As the sages taught in Braita, the verse states, with regard to the meal offering, every male among the sons of Aaron shall eat it. Leviticus 6:11. The phrase every male serves to include blemished priests. Lemai ilach ila harei kvar ne'emar lechem elovad b'kadshei kadashim yochel el lachaluka. The Gemara clarifies, for what matter is this derivation necessary? If one suggests it is for the matter of consumption, it is already stated explicitly, any man of the seed of Aaron, the priest, who has a blemish, he may eat the bread of his God, the most sacred and of the sacred. Leviticus 21, 22. Rather, Leviticus 6:11 is necessary for the matter of receiving a share, teaching that blemished priests may do so along with the other priests. This is the source for the Mishnah's statement. Tanya idach kol zachan l'rabos balimumin למאי, אילך הרי כבר אמור, אילך הלוקה הרי כבר אמור, שיכול אלי, אל התם ונעשה בעל מום מקרו, מניין, תמד לו מהו, כל זכר. It is taught in another Braita, the verse states with regard to the sin offering, every male among the priests may eat thereof. Leviticus 6:22. Phrase every male serves to include blemished priests. The Gemara explains, for what matter is this derivation necessary? If one suggests it is for the matter of consumption, isn't that already stated in Leviticus chapter 21? If one suggests it is for the matter of receiving a share, isn't it already stated in verse 6:11? In 6 verse 11? Rather, the verse is necessary because one might have thought that I might have derived only the halacha with regard to a priest who was at first unblemished and later became blemished. From where is it derived that one blemished from birth also receives a share? The verse states here, every male. Okay. Tanya idach. Kozachon rabbis b'almum l'may. Hilach hilare kavaram. Hilach hare kavaram. V'ilach b'almum ikaro. Hare kavaramur. Shechor eli. Ela b'almum kavua. B'almum over minayin. It is taught in another Braita, the verse states with regard to the burnt offering, every male among the priests may eat thereof. Leviticus 7, verse 6. The phrase every male serves to include a blemished priest. The Gemara explains for what matter is this derivation necessary. If one suggests that it is for the matter of eating, isn't that already stated? If one suggests it is for the matter of receiving a share, isn't that already stated? And if one suggests it is for the high priest, for a high priest blemished from birth, isn't that already stated? Rather, the verse is necessary because one might have thought that I have derived only the halakha with regard to a permanently blemished priest. From where is it derived that a temporarily blemished priest also receives a share? The verse states every male. I would think it's a kal chomer. If a permanently blemished priest can receive, for sure temporary. Okay, but they say in the verse. Okay, the verse is here every male. The Gemara objects, but isn't the opposite? Wouldn't I have thought that a priest with a permanent blemish would be treated more stringently than one with a temporary blemish? Sheshet said, reverse the wording as follows. One might have thought that I have derived only the halakha with regard to a priest with a temporary blemish, from where is it derived that one with a permanent blemish also receives a share? That makes sense. Zevachim lo hilam lo tepuch v'itzrich sel kedaitach amina. Rav said, actually, do not reverse the wording, and this is not difficult. It was necessary to teach that even a priest with a temporary blemish receives a share, because it might enter your mind to say. Okay? And that's the end of 102, side A. Now continue with side B after the break. Zevachim.